Today we're talking with Shane Claiborne.
And we're going to talk about community in 2020, as well as topics that have been going on during this time.
That and more on today's episode. Jackson Cloud.
Now we are going to play Let the Spy Fall.
I don't think that's the
We
song.
will stand tall. And here's how it works. Is more or less one of us is a spy and the other two are not. I have 3 cards for us. We do not know the location where we are at. The card is going to tell you the location you are and the person, like what your job or character is in that place. So you need to live out that character. One of you or me will be the spy, and the spy has no idea where they are and has to, through conversation, try to figure it out and not get caught. If they do get caught, then they lose. Obviously, that's how games work. Okay.
So, wait, no. Doesn't the spy have the chance to guess the location in order to win?
Yes, but obviously they have revealed that they're the spy. So if they
Right.
are wrong, they lose. You also are given the sheet as to all the locations there are at that point so that you can make, like, I think we're in this spot. So it's supposed to be 8 minutes, but because, this is our show, we're going to give it 4 minutes per round, especially because there's only 3 of us. So, here we go.
So wait, what do I do when I go first?
You just ask one of us a question.
Yep.
So you will ask, say you ask me a question, I would answer the question, and then I would ask one of you two a question. So whoever gets the question asked then asks the next question.
Ready, go.
What is your favorite thing to do?
Obviously, this. You're enjoying this.
Is that a question?
I mean, you kind of look like you're enjoying this. Or are you not?
That's still a statement. Ask me a question.
I did.
Or are you not? I am quite enjoying this.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Your turn to ask the question now.
Mm-hmm.
To who?
I'm deciding. Have you had anything to eat?
Yes.
Pause game in case he's a spy. I can
I
feel
also think that.
it. We got in 1 minute before we figured it out. When you're the spy and you have to start the question, that's always hard. We were just at a
Corporate party.
Yeah.
There's food at a corporate party.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we could just tell from the way you were acting that you were the spy. All right, let's try another round.
What were you?
I was the MC, which I forgot to read.
Oh, I was the party crasher.
Yeah, okay. I just figured based on the way the card looked that you were having a good time.
Did my first question at least sound okay?
What was the question again?
No, you paused too long.
Oh, dang it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to do that before my questions, whether I'm the spy or not. So
Yeah,
pausing
I would
is just
too
kind
say
of a
that
thing.
before we play, just to throw everybody off. Okay, where are we going this time? Nobody knows. Let's find out. Everybody see who you are. 4 minutes. Can the spy make it? Ready, go. Hello, stranger.
Okay, once again, I don't think you understand. You're supposed to be asking questions.
I wasn't done with my statement, maybe.
No,
You have nice...
that's still a
Sounds
statement.
like a statement.
No,
Still
you
not a
haven't heard
question.
the statement. You have nice... breathing.
You can't just
That's called a
make
compliment,
it sound
Jamin.
No,
like
it was-
a question mark at the end and magically make it a question. That's
Fine.
not a
This isn't
question.
Spanish.
All right, fine. Hello? All right, hey, I can do this.
I don't think you can.
Question. What brings you out this far?
Stars.
Your turn to ask a question.
I know.
You don't know how to ask questions either, huh?
I want to ask a question about you.
Feel free.
Is he supposed to be here?
Is that asking me?
Yes.
Yes?
Casey's a spy.
Seconded.
All in favor?
I disagree.
And?
Because Olivia's the spy.
Dang
She
it.
was agreeing with you
Dang it!
so that she would win.
I knew she was, but then she said stars. How did she say stars?
Because you
in
were acting
space.
like an alien.
I was an alien.
You did this!
I was like,
This is a huge giveaway!
yeah, I forgot when I did it. I was like, no, don't do that. It's too late. But then she said stars. I was like, there's no way she's that
And I was
accurate.
the doctor!
There's no way she's that accurate the first time. This was all
Olivia
my
wins.
fault.
It was your
It
fault.
was my fault. I'm very upset about it. This is not going well.
Probability of that is 17.5%.
Just the fact that she said stars, I'm like, that's too well accurate. All right, I'll take credit for that one being my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the top.
Felt like I won that one because I knew it was Olivia.
Where will we go this time? Nobody knows. But Olivia is first, whether she is a spy or not. Everybody check a card. Here we go. Kick it off, Wichita.
Are you allowed to be here?
I was forced here. What about you? You allowed to be here?
Why are you talking to me? Wait, I probably should actually answer that. Yeah?
Am I allowed to be here?
Nope. What are you searching for?
Life answers. Sorry, that's
I think
the only
Olivia's
answer
the
to that
spy.
question
I
ever.
also think Olivia's a spy.
I am the spy.
Yeah!
Sorry, I just the only answer to
New
that question
record.
ever is life answers.
Pirate ship.
You was on a pirate ship.
We're searching for gold.
And I was a slave, so like I wasn't supposed to be there. So I was like, does she understand what we're talking
But see, that's
This
why
is really hard with 3 people.
it is.
I don't like this game because I'm bad at not being the spy, but I'm also bad at being the spy.
Where will we go
I'm
now?
bad at being everything.
2 people know,
All right.
1 person
Casey's
doesn't.
asking the question this time.
Yep. Casey is the starter. Casey, kick it off. Wichita.
All right. What brings you here?
Oh, you know. I know you know.
You get to ask the question now.
I know. Did you check out that room?
Not unless someone asks me to. Can I help you?
If you bring me a martini.
I'm a spy. We're in a hotel. Am I right?
No.
Dang it! Dang it! It would have been so cool. 40 seconds. Just, hey, here's what was going on.
Casino.
Duh! Duh! I can't lie that long. I had to go for it.
I knew Jamin was a spy.
I knew you
because-
knew. That's why I was trying to get it over with. This game's the worst.
Well, to be
Vague.
fair, okay, this is what's so hard about this game is you have to be vague so the spy doesn't figure it out. But also, if you're vague, everyone will think you're the spy.
But the fact that I threw in martini made him think hotel. Which, what were you actually that time?
I was
already thinking hotel.
I was the dealer.
I am now the starter. And here we go. You enjoying this?
It's a little bit more pressure than I thought. Where should I go?
Not sure where you should go. Depends on which floor. What do you need?
Oh.
You know.
You know what I need.
I mean, okay.
You came to me. You know what I need.
Jamin's a spy.
Part of me thinks you're saying that because you're the spy, and the
because-
other part of me believes you, so I'm not sure.
Because I do not have the spy card, he is the spy.
I need to hear a few more questions yet, so
All right.
I'm not going to say yes to either of those.
Unless you're the spy and you're trying to throw us off.
I mean, if you think that, but that's
The spy
not
would
a good
agree with me
idea.
if it was you. So.
Not if...
Go back to asking questions before the time runs out. Jamin, you never started the timer!
We'll just say we're 4 minutes in.
What?
No!
Not that that matters. Crap!
I think that was a joke, so go back to
I'm the
asking questions.
spy.
So where do you think we are?
I was gonna say a hotel again, but I don't know.
Hospital.
No, it was the hospital.
Then you do know why I'm
Wait,
there.
what were you?
You exactly knew why I was there.
Pathologist.
Then you know why I was
Okay,
there.
I was the intern.
Why are you so suspicious about my good answer?
Because you've used that twice in a
Jamin
row
being
now.
the spy is really funny.
I don't like this game. It's scary.
I like Jamin being the spy. It's much more entertaining than when I'm the spy.
Check your card.
Wait, who is Jamin's supposed to ask questions this time? Yeah.
Didn't I? Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Ready, go. Can you please pick up your trash, miss?
Yes, sorry. I didn't think anyone was watching.
I was watching.
Where were you hoping to go?
To the left?
Casey's the spy.
Casey's the spy.
25 seconds, a new record.
Casey is definitely the spy.
It's mostly the laugh that comes after that gives it away. It's like, I don't know how to lie.
Hold on, let me see if I
go
can.
ahead,
Let me see if I
yeah,
can
yeah,
try.
take a guess, take a guess.
Zoo.
Yeah.
You don't win, because we still got you. But yeah, you at least guessed the right one.
To the left.
Yeah, there was the total laughter. It
Yeah.
just kind of ruined it.
I'm bad at this. I am bad at this. I will admit it.
It's alright, we're all bad at this, apparently.
I feel like you just wrote a SpongeBob script or something. Patrick, where are you going?
To the left.
I always go left, SpongeBob. All right, final round. Who will be the ultimate winner? Ultimate winner rules go like this. Whoever wins the ultimate winner round is, in fact, the ultimate winner. All victories before that do not matter. Here we go, and
I asked the question.
you asked the question.
Where can I get some food?
That's what I'm here for. What would you like? Is my question back to you.
Oh, you're actually asking it back.
Yes.
I think some breakfast would be good.
One moment, please. Here's my question.
That's a statement, Jamin.
You
You just asked me a question. It's my turn again.
Okay, all right.
Keep going. This is great.
Anything you were hoping to see?
I was looking to see what the most popular thing was. Alright, I'm gonna call it. I am the spy. I'm gonna try to choose.
I knew before you even had.
I like how we just looked at
Before you
each other and
even said
went, do we
anything.
want to let this go on? Or?
I want to be vague, but the most popular thing. This game is so short with 3 people. When you have what?
You gotta have a lot
8
of
to
people.
10, it's very fun.
Gives the spy a
I mean, this
chance
was fun,
to get an idea where the questions are going.
Breakfast food. So I'm gonna say restaurant.
Nope.
You were on a train. All right, today on the Jackson Cloud, we are excited to have the one and only Shane Claiborne. Shane, thanks for calling us today.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now we'd originally got you on the line because we've tried to launch this kind of online church. We've got one that does dinner church to reach a lot of homeless and impoverished people in our area. One, a nerd church to reach kind of Comic Con crowd. And then this was kind of like an online church, partially because we know there's a lot of people who are too sick to go to church. Then there's others who just may not risk it during a pandemic. We're not sure. So we knew that if we were going to do this, one of the important things was going to be community. And that's usually what's sometimes lacking in a lot of the online things that we've seen during Corona. But we've also talked about racism in past weeks, as well as red letter Christianity. So there's plenty of topics all across the table here that you can hop into if you ever feel it bubble up. So, but with that being said, it might help if anyone doesn't know a little bit about your story, just might help to kind of start there, where that all came from.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks again. Yeah, it's great to be able to connect with some folks. And I grew up in Tennessee. I'm actually down in Tennessee where I grew up, hanging out with my mom and dad and family here during the pandemic a little bit. And we've been we've had a community on the north side of Philly. We've been sort of forming for the last 25 years or so. Woo! Back in the 1900s we started. Yeah. So, but we were really inspired by the early church in the book of Acts, which as we read it, it says, no one claimed any of their possessions were their own. They shared everything they had. They met and worshiped in each other's homes. So there's this kind of vision, not of mega church, but micro church, and of like living the gospel out of dinner tables and living rooms and sharing things together. So we pulled our money together, me and some of my college buddies, and bought a house, and then we grew it into a village over the last couple of decades. And we've got community gardens and murals and, affordable housing that we're creating now and stuff, probably a lot like things you're doing down there, but I think when it comes to this idea of community, we're all made to love and be loved. We've kind of made this idol out of individualism and stuff. But I think, when you look at scripture, God creates humanity from the dirt, breathes life into it, and then doesn't pronounce it really good until they're together helping each other. And says that we're not meant to be alone, and we're created literally in the image of a God who reflects community, Father, Son, Spirit, and so that whole story, even, weaved all through the scripture of God liberating the enslaved Hebrew people, the Jesus saying, where two or three of you gather with me, like God is forming a community. And certainly that's what we were after, so Jesus lived with this little community of folks that, he spent his whole life with. So I think that's what we're trying to figure out, is how to get out of that individualism and find deeper community with folks. And it's tricky in the pandemic. I think someone said we sometimes talk about Lent, as a time where you give up things like chocolate or soda or alcohol or whatever, and it's like we've been forced in the Lent of all Lents here to give up community in some ways, or a certain way of connecting, because no matter how good the virtual stuff is, it still can feel a little flat, so I think we got to get creative and have imagination. So that's why it's great to be with y'all.
Yeah, and they might enjoy the story of part of the way that your community came to be when we talked on a podcast for when we were launching Dinner Church, and we'll relink this to the Jackson Cloud as a bonus episode. But we talked something about a grenade bringing you all together. Is this?
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. So when we bought that first house, it was belonged to this World War II vet, and he passed away. And of course, we got it from his family. But we're cleaning this house out. We found all kinds of really cool stuff that we, have antiques and whatnots. And we kept joking that, we would find the secret stash of gold somewhere, but we never found the gold or the buried treasure. But as I was cleaning this top shelf, which I'm pretty tall, so I'm cleaning, the top of this shelf, and I feel something. I'm like, oh yeah, it might be the gold. It felt heavy. And I get up there, and it's not gold. It was a grenade. And, so I called, and this is North Philly. Like, it feels like we see everything, in our neighborhood. So I called the police thinking this is no big deal. And they freaked out, they're like, oh my gosh, we got to bring the bomb squad in, and they like the media came and all my neighbors are out and they're like, wow, who are the new guys on the corner, and so our house, they brought in the bomb squad, but that was, that was what got us, that's how we met everyone. So, yeah.
Wow.
Nothing like a grenade to bring.
And it was a real grenade. I'll have to say the bomb squad said if you find another one of those, you will need to call us back. But it was like I think it was a dud. But you couldn't tell. It just looked like a grenade to me. I wasn't about to like do a little shaking around or something.
Hey, yes, yeah, that could end badly. Have you? I'm curious if you found any ways during this pandemic, at least. Every state was a little different. With Michigan, we had to like shut down completely-ish at one point. Well, I mean, we're still our movie theaters aren't open, and not a lot of like extra things are open. So during this time, have you found good ways to kind of maintain community, whether that's in person or online, or any tips or ideas?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of creative stuff. I mean, I just got off of the call with I think it was about 500 people or something, that are connecting, and there's a lot of calls connecting people around the world because it's as easy to, do these Zoom calls or Skype or whatever with people on the other side of the planet as it is the people next to us right now. So there's some cool stuff I think happening internationally. There's some creative stuff happening with churches that I saw one of my friends, Reverend Jen, she did a kayak church, floating down the rivers, and I don't have a kayak, but that looked really cool to me, and but then there's, Leslie Callahan in Philly, they do like a weekly check-in where, like the community members can let people know that, hey, listen, I really need someone to go to the store for me or whatever. So I think there's like sort of a vulnerability that people are maybe a little bit more sensitized right now to like, who are the people that we might be forgetting? And I think that's a great thing because maybe the pandemic in some ways can kind of better prepare us to be ready for life after the pandemic, that we might not still forget those elderly neighbors or folks that are in domestic violence, and so there's a lot of people I think that are really vulnerable right now that we don't necessarily think of, where home is either not a safe place or they don't have a home, or they live in a recovery community that really relies on face-to-face meetings to get through another day sober. So I think there's a lot of people we need to kind of keep thinking about, and so it's a cool time to sort of create a space to a different rhythm, and the monastic traditions and a lot of like really wonderful, like some of the old monks in the desert and stuff, they lived in these quarantines really well, so there were ways that they could hear God and feel God in new ways. So maybe that's good for us. And, I think it's also revealed some things we weren't seeing in a new way too. People without health care, people, African Americans and others that are really vulnerable and disproportionately affected by the pandemic. It's sometimes said that when America catches a cold, Black folks catch pneumonia. And I think in some ways we see this sort of the history and pre-existing conditions, of 400 years of racism and slavery, that the pandemic is causing us to ask really important things about how we can make sure healthcare and good education and things like that are not just privileges for people that can afford it, but available to everybody.
Yeah. I think it's been cool how God has been able to use something as difficult as this time to bring to light a lot of those themes. And some of the coalitions that we've worked with, like we heard right at the beginning, like we're ready for this onslaught of difficulty for all of our poorer neighbors and whatnot. And so like we had to figure out, we should probably get our benevolence fund up a little bit and forget about some of the usual things. And then, as race came to the forefront in a lot of ways, we found these marches going on, new dialogues, new conversations. We had Jamar Tisby's kind of series that we went through on Wonderful. The compromise. Yeah. And it's been, Corona hasn't been cool, but it's been cool how God has used it to bring out of the pressure of it all, kind of an awareness of a lot of things that maybe we've not caught on to before, or have not caught on to as much as we should, to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way to say it. I think that, just as it's kind of opening up our imagination, I think it's also maybe showing us some things, holding a mirror up to us in some ways too, that I think of some things that they just don't hold water during the pandemic. Some of our theology, you got some folks that are just the only container that they have is God must be doing this for a reason. Like the pandemic is God's punishment for whatever thing, or I've pointed out the very problematic theology that I don't need to wear a mask because God will protect me, but I need guns. So that's a little bit of a, but I got a mask that I'm not wearing because I'm alone in a room, but it says love thy neighbor. So I think that's really one of the questions right now is that, yeah, we may have a right to meet with 500 people in a worship service, but like loving our neighbor is really the highest law. And what does it mean to think about those who might be really vulnerable right now? So I think it's a great thing, for in that sense to really be asking that question of what does love require of me right now, and maybe it's sacrificing some things that I might be entitled to do, but aren't going to be the safest thing for some of my neighbors. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I retweeted that tweet about the guns and all that.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that we could do a whole nother episode on that. Maybe bring up your book and all that.
You mentioned the racial justice reckoning too. I think that's another thing that this was already happening, alongside the pandemic. So, and I mean, I've been on marches because I felt like I could be responsible with that. I went on a march from Charlottesville to D.C. on the anniversary of King's March on Washington. Just walked 130 miles. I still got blisters on my feet here, then whatnot. But then I quarantined after that, and everywhere we went, we were, masked up, and we had microphones. We had these little shower caps you put on them, in each of it. So we tried to be real smart. But I think that we do need to take this as a space where, hey, we don't want to go back to normal. Normal wasn't working. Normal brought us Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Normal brought us 140 million Americans that don't have the things that they need, and healthcare, all these. So I think we've got to use this as a space, not hoping that we get back to normal any more than we hope to go back to some kind of version of America that wasn't the best for everyone. So we can move forward together out of this, I think, in a new way.
Yeah, that's a great word. I've taken all the space for questions so far. Do you guys have any bubbling up?
I'll let you know.
They're too.
They're very nice. I've got the lovely Trinity happening here. So yeah, but yeah, feel free to chime in. Yeah, it's always good to talk though.
Yeah.
Yeah. What our associate pastor left about 2 years ago to go plant a recovery church here in Jackson. And you were talking earlier about, just the difficulty with recovery, because a lot of that is this face-to-face social interaction. Likewise, I think we've probably all ran into friends who have undergone probably more significant depression during this time, more severe thoughts bubbling up during that time too, as to what, how they deal with it. So what have you found would be good ways to help those who are especially feeling the weight of maybe isolation and loneliness right now?
Is your mom calling there? Yeah, no.
This always happens every time I'm trying to do this. It's cool. Go ahead. I'll just.
Yeah, well, I don't know that there's really a perfect anecdote for that, other than to be really to check in on each other, and I think we needed to do that because these were terribly turbulent times before the pandemic for so many folks. And so I think it's a time we really need to keep checking in on each other. And one of my friends gave me these 3 Ps. Let me see if I can remember them. positivity, productivity, and physicality. So like do something physical if we're able to, or even, get out in nature. But then I think, productivity, find something like, what can I do with this time? I'm trying to catch up on, I've got this pile of letters that I'm trying to catch up on writing over here and books I'm reading. But I think like doing something with this strange space that feels like, wow, I can, read a couple books I was wanting to read, or write a few letters to folks. I think we get some meaning out of that too. Writing people who are in prison right now, who incidentally in many places are not able to have any visitors at all. So as difficult as this time is for so many of people, I mean, just imagine, living in a jail cell and not being able to see your children or family. And so I think that, having something that we're doing outside of ourselves is good. Yeah, I don't know the productivity part, physicality. We're trying to exercise and do things, but I think all that is good. And then checking in on each other is really good, like just asking each other how we're doing, and there are ways to get out and about. I think that in Philly we've seen some cool stuff happen. We had a coalition of folks that began to share meals together every day on the street. So we were giving away about 600 meals a day by this coalition of groups that had come together. So really cool to see people come together that wouldn't agree on politics or theology or whatever, but, can say, hey, we want to make sure that folks on the street who are particularly vulnerable right now, feel the love and know they're not alone. And we had, jazz musicians. We had folks that came and helped people get their assistance if they needed to from, the money that was given, because folks on the street were not exempt from that, and to be tested for the virus, things like that. So we had nurses and doctors. And so, some people are able to be on the front lines or risk in a certain way that other people aren't. So I think all of us can say, what can I do right now to be light in the darkness?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I think especially during how divisive it's been lately, it's cool to see like moments where people can come together and recognize important elements like that too. Cool. Well, we really appreciate your time sharing with us, and could listen for another few hours or so, but I've got your audiobooks for that in the meantime. Do you have any new books that you're working on right now? Or are those all secret?
Yeah, top secret. I can't reveal that information. No, I'm actually we've got our blacksmith and stuff here, so we've been turning our these are both made out of guns that were donated. Actually, look, my friend's even been making these handles out of the old wood stock. So
nice.
That's cool.
yeah, this is a little like garden shovel and plow that we've made. So Katie and I are learning a new skill of blacksmithing in the pandemic, and that's my last book, is beating guns. And we also see that even in the pandemic, the epidemic of gun violence that has been there is rising in many places. And so we've been trying to pray for the healing of that violence, that expresses itself in the gun violence. And but I'm thinking I'm writing a book right now, or considering writing a book that is about a better ethic of life, right? That takes into account abortion and gun violence and the movement for Black lives and the death penalty. So I've written about the death penalty and gun violence, but I think having a big, robust vision of life that says every person's created in the image of God. And, that's kind of the back and forth we heard as we were walking from Charlottesville, this 130 miles, we had some signs that said Black Lives Matter. And one of the quickest things that we heard in response, we heard a lot of love and a lot of thumbs up and honked horns, but we heard, we had some, people flipping us off and saying other things. But one of the things that we heard over and over was all lives matter, and someone even said, white lives matter more, said that explicitly, out of their car. And so I think that's where we go, this really is a time where we need to hear the cry of our brothers and sisters of color. After 400 years of history has crushed them. That when we say Black Lives Matter, it's affirming something that our history has pointed a very different direction. Said that they're 3/5 human, auctioned them off on street corners, and in the Dred Scott case, said that black people have no rights that white people have to acknowledge. So over and over, we've kind of had this narrative that white people are valued more than black folks, and so to say Black Lives Matter doesn't mean white people don't matter, but until we can say Black Lives Matter, I think we don't really mean all lives matter, and we should be able to, it's like I heard this stand-up guy, I think it was Michael Shea, who said, if your wife comes up to you and says, baby, do you love me? You don't say, honey, I love everyone. And it's kind of like, I think that's what many of our brothers and sisters are asking right now, is tell me that I matter, and we can say, yes, you matter, like Black Lives Matter to God. So let's be able to get on board with that. So, that's the last thing, because I think there's so much going on in our country. Sometimes it's that movement that's been happening and rising up in our streets is still happening, and thousands of people are saying we can't breathe. And I think God feels that, and we need to feel that. So always good to be with you, and
you too. Excited to read that book. You. Really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
We've been calling it Subverting Death. So we'll see if that ends up being the title, but y'all can pray for me and keep doing your work. Grateful for you. Cheering you on. Bless you.
Thank you very much. How many times must the ground open up to drink the blood of innocent skin? How many times will the Mac get his way? Claim that I embraced his sin. They can't hear you calling out, I can't breathe. But Abel's blood screams out to me. And they can't hear you calling out, I can't breathe. But baby, I haven't missed a thing. How many times must tongues be lifted high? If the lesson learned is set aside. One God for all, and every language, every tribe. The church's diversity as pride. They can't hear you calling out, I can't breathe. But Abel's blood screams out to me. And they can't hear you calling out, I can't breathe. But baby, I haven't missed a thing.
I knit you in the womb. As an image of myself, I see you in the tomb. And your blood cries for its I can hear you calling out, I can't breathe. And Abel's blood screams out to me. And they can't hear you calling out, I can't breathe. But baby, I haven't missed a thing.
So Shane Claiborne had a lot of great stuff today, and maybe you can check out his books to learn a whole lot more as well.
And talk to us about the things he said on the Discord.
And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also go to the webpage because there's good content there too.